Hi, this is Milani Douglas for another episode of the Curative Collective. Today we are here with Alethea. She's one of our reclamation artists. Alethea, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and tell us about your practice and how we can find you.
Sure. Hello, my name is Alethea. I am from Korea. I am a social practice artist, I guess I will say, but mostly what that means is I work with people and I organize gatherings or way of projects that people collaborate together, and I like to work that way. Um, and currently, I'm working more actively as a collective member for called Rice Spring Sisters Club. Um, and besides that, I guess that's more my majority of my work at this point. But besides that, I've been working on just various cultural researches in terms of publication or farming or um, very local community based projects around where I live, which is a city called Kunpo.
Mm. Alethea, that's so exciting. And we are glad to hear about your work with the collaboration. And just quick question: how do you find that working inside of a collaboration informs your practice?
Um, mm. So my background comes from a community-based art practice. So when I first started working that way, it was a lot of collaboration with communities or local communities that was outside of my own community,
Mhm.
um, which can be anything. But I guess living as an international person in the US or when I come back to Korea, being a person who lived abroad and come back, it was always about kind of creating projects that allowed me to have connections to the place that I am, and then um, also connecting um, issues that seem international or not my own issues to be personal, and then also finding ways to, I guess, um, create resonance in a way, and being, I guess, and those like working that way helps me to feel connected and belong to wherever I am. And then the more I do these projects, it's been a more earnest way to talk about collaboration and what being um, community practice means to me, and to work in a way that feels empowering with my partners or friends or community partners in my work.
Mm, that is awesome. And so, and working with partnerships and also collaborations and also just traveling, I'm sure you've come across a lot of amazing women artists. Can you tell us five of your favorite ones just to honor our campaign and also just to share some work that women are out there doing?
Sure. Some of them are not female specific, but
Mhm.
they tend to be women practitioners. I guess one of them would be called Bakudapan, which is Int- Indonesian food collective. They're a group of women, and they're basically a food study group, and they um, explore a lot of social topics through the medium of food. Um, Recently, I am my collective Rice Spring Sisters Club. We've been collaborating with a group called Sisters Garden, which is the one and only Korean woman cooperative in Korea. They're basically women farmers who organize themselves as a cooperative, and they created a not an NGO, but like a business model of a CSA um, practice, where they gather throughout Korea and create these box of goods that they grow, um, and then they send it out to people who consumers who are in the cities, and I guess their main initiatives are are about preserving native seed. So seed that is able to reproduce rather than seeds that are in the market that are genetically modified to not be able to be reproduced. Um, and then also farming in a way that's healthy for the consumers. So they speak a lot of touch on a lot of social topics as well through their way of farming and their choices of crops that they grow. Um, I guess those are the two that really stand out to me at the moment.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's it's always good to be exposed to women collaboratives and collectives and how they're working. So thank you for letting us know about those groups. Wanted to know about the work you created for Reclamation. Did you want to tell us about creating the work and just your thoughts on the process?
Sure. Yeah, I think through this project specifically, it made me think a lot about how I really how food comes into my practice, because I think I used to I think my work a lot about creating social structures, or I work with relationships. So when it comes to that, I always think about how people should what kind of person my collaborator is, and then also in terms of the structure of the project, how does the dynamic or um, works in this specific project. But I think so thinking about my own practice where I work with like social dynamics, I guess I came up with a food that has been sort of a soul food for my collective, Rice Spring Sisters Club, which is tteokbokki, and it's a spicy rice cake dish that's commonly found on the streets of Korea. And a lot of people do eat it as a it's very cheap, so it's a very social and easily found food. And I guess you would see a lot, if you know about the dish, you will see a lot about it in like Korean dramas or um, people eating it when they're stressed, or it's just like a really comfort food. So I felt that had a very shared social context in terms of how people connect to that food and how it's been for in my life as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got to choose that food to share for this project.
Beautiful. And how can people follow your work and if they want to learn more about you?
Sure. I guess because I'm working more primarily with Red Spring Sisters Club, if you are curious to look it up more, or our only um, way of archive has been on Instagram.
Mm.
So if you just type Rice Brewing Sisters Club on Instagram, that is where we have all our archive of our past work.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I hope that people will follow you and continue to support your work. We are so glad that you could be a part of Reclamation. Is there anything that you would want us to know before we close out the interview?
Um, no, I think, well, thank you for having me here. I've been appreciating seeing all the context that's been I'm able to be part of,
Mhm.
and I think it'll be really great the more diverse the conversation can become. So thank you for having me here.
Yes, and thank you for participating. It was definitely a pleasure, and we will continue to collaborate. So please look up Alethea and find her work, and also stay tuned for more from Reclamation. We're looking up, opening up the recipe archives again, and there's some wonderful recipes in there, some wonderful responses from our artists, and there's a great conversation between the work that they all presented. So hopefully you'll get a chance to look at it. Alethea, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you as a part of the Curative Collective.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Thank you.